All right, well, everyone, welcome to the On the Line podcast. I am your host, Noel Alberto, with co-host Oliver Dixon Jefford. Oliver, how you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
Good, good. Excited to talk about our WTA Awards and some of the news that's been going around. So we're going to start with the WTA coaching carousel. So Oliver has a lot more information on this, so I'll let him take the reins. But some short little snippets that Torben Blitz, I believe that's how you pronounce it, right?
Belts.
Torben Belts, yes. Torben Belts is a split with Angelique Kerber and gone with Donna Vekic, and now Azarenka has no team, and her coach is rumored to go coach Johanna Konta.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go for the Torben Belts news first. Obviously, it was his second spell with Kerber. They'd worked together before and then split, and then they joined back up. Obviously, she had a solid 2015 season with him, obviously winning 4 titles, making WTA finals again. And obviously, last year was incredibly successful for her. Obviously, 2 Grand Slam titles, role number 1. And, this year did not work out at all, whether it was the pressure or whether she was struggling physically a bit. It was just, obviously, she's fallen down outside the top 15. So I think it's not a surprise at all that they did split. But I think it's a good move for Donna Vekic in terms of hiring him. Obviously, he's done well with Kerber in the past. She had a very solid season as well, kind of got herself back into the nearer the top of the game. She's got a lot of talent. She's been hyped up in the past, hasn't really had a couple of great years, but obviously a title in Nottingham this year. I believe in the top 50 as well. I might be wrong with that. So I think that's a good move for her, especially considering the state where she's starting to maybe rise up the rankings a bit more. So I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's a good move. Obviously, we've seen Belts help Kerber reach some greater heights that we thought that we would never see her hit before. And I think Vekic, who's still young, this will help her improve on her ranking and maybe hit some new heights that we haven't seen her hit yet. Maybe probably reach a quarter. I don't think she's reached a quarter of a Grand Slam, right?
No, I don't think she's ever made the second week. I might be wrong.
Yeah. Where's Vekic? Yeah, so I believe. Oh yeah, I'm looking right now. She's just outside the top 50. She's 54 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but at 21, still plenty of time to grow. But I think, yeah, maybe her first, second week, maybe a title at a premier event. Like the WTA is just so wide open. I know, obviously, we always talk about like the elite players, like the Venuses, the Haleps, the Mugurutas, the Wozniackis, the Pliskavas, the Svitolinas, all that. But it just a couple of wins against like one of those players in one of these big events will give you just so much confidence that it'll help you ride a high to eventually maybe fire your way to a title. So I think it's a great hire for Vekic, who could improve in 2018, maybe crack the top 32 and could be a seed in one of the majors, hopefully, probably by the US Open.
Yeah, I think realistically, she's not going to go straight into the top 10.
No.
Next season. I think potentially in her career she could be top 10, maybe even win a slam. I think realistically, if she was able to obviously improve on her rank, and look into her career high is 45th, which was early this season. If she was able to get into the top 30 by the end of the year, I think that'd be a very successful season for her, and then she could progress from that further.
Yeah, 45th. Yeah, so a couple like results to start off the season should easily see her past that. I believe she's not defending that many points in Australia, if I remember correctly.
I don't think so, no. Second round, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, couple wins, a few wins there, and then maybe a good showing in one of those warm events. She'll easily surpass that. And then we mentioned Azarenka. She is. You said, as you told me yesterday, she's teamless. So you want to talk more on that?
Well, yeah. Obviously, it's been rumored for quite a few weeks now, ever since Johanna Konta split with her coach Wim Fissette. that she would maybe link up with Michael Joyce, who was Azarenka's coach. He's previously worked with Maria Sharapova as well. So Michael Joyce left Azarenka some point in the past couple of weeks, and a few days ago, her strength and conditioning coach Ashkan Rezazadeh, I believe I said that right. Apologies if I didn't. Has also left her as well. So she currently has no real team. She is obviously has got a wild card for the ASB Classic in Auckland, but with that less than a month away, just under a month now, not very encouraging that she's actually going to be able to make it. Obviously, we all know her long-standing personal situation, so it's not an encouraging sign, to be honest. And even if she is able to play, it might not be a successful start because obviously would have to get used to a new team if she's able to bring one in.
Yeah, it's a tough time for Azarenka right now. I mean, not being able to play all the events from the U.S. Open on, or even before from practically Wimbledon on, because of her situation, and then missing out on the Fed Cup final in her home country. It's super tough for her, and now no team. And like you said, ASB Classic Auckland, one of the kickoff tournaments for the ladies on January 1st, less than a month away. It's going to be so difficult for her to get everything back on track. And her situation that we know of is still, as we know right now, it's still not solved.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously that has to be her focus. But even if she is able to come back to tennis, she's obviously going to need to have some practices before then, and she's going to need an established team behind her. I don't think it's good for anyone, no matter what anyone says, for them not to have a team around them. We've seen in the past on the ATP tour, we've had Nick Kyrgios and Gael Monfils both occasionally not really had a proper team. And, obviously they've done well in their careers, but it's obviously probably held them back a little bit. So I think it'll be a while, I think, until she plays again.
Yeah. Are there any notable coaches out there on the market who you think would be interested in coaching her after her situation is resolved?
Not off the top of my head. If I had a look, there probably is a couple out there. I mean, obviously, maybe Sasha Bajin, obviously former hitting partner.
Yeah.
Former hitting, obviously just split with Caroline Wozniacki, previously worked with Serena. Apparently, he has ambitions to be a coach, so that's a potential. He only stopped being a hitting partner because obviously she fell pregnant. So potentially they might get back together again. Obviously, Serena, Vika, and Caroline obviously quite friendly. He's worked with all three. Dare say they didn't. So yeah, maybe, but that's the only person I could think of. But I dare say there's others out there, maybe former players who might be interested in coaching. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout because he has experience with elite players like Serena and Wozniacki. So I feel, and since he is interested in being a coach, and she does have to work her way up the rankings, I'm sure she'll be given a ton of wild cards because of her draw to the audience and her game and former Grand Slam champion standing. I feel because she's ranked outside the top 200, I feel like that could be a good start for Sasha Bajin to help her and maybe help him as well.
Well, yeah, obviously, so like you said, she's a Grand Slam champion and former world number one, so it means she can get unlimited number of wild cards. And obviously, they have worked together before, so there is that understanding there. It wouldn't be a brand new relationship where they need time to get to know each other. So it would obviously we're not sure. Obviously, when he wants to start coaching, we know that's why he did part ways with Wozniacki in the end, because that's his long-term ambition. So it would be a good start, but she might want to go with maybe a more established coach out there. But I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see.
Yeah, very much so. So that's the end of our WTA coaching carousel, but we also have some ATP coaching news as Novak Djokovic announces on Facebook Live. I'm very much getting in touch with the 2017 generation rather than a normal press conference, that he has hired Radek Stepanek as another one of his coaches to coach alongside Andre Agassi, So do you think this will be a thing just like how with Murray, with Lendl, and then who's Murray's other coach?
Jamie Delgado.
Jamie Delgado, and then like with Nadal, with Uncle Tony, and then this year Carlos Moya. Like, you think Radek Stepanek will be the one focusing on the tour, while Agassi will be there, the guy for the slams?
Well, I believe that is the plan. I think Djokovic or someone in his team has said that Stepanek will be the day-to-day coach. He's the one that will travel around the whole tour with him, work with him in the off season and in between tournaments. And I think Andre Agassi is going to show up for majors and maybe other Masters 1000 tournaments. So I think Stepanek is going to be the main coach. I think it's a really interesting partnership. Obviously, Stepanek has taken no time in between retiring to take up this opportunity. And, they've played against each other and they had a lot of really good matches, really entertaining matches. So I think obviously, we're not sure how successful it's going to be. Obviously, we know Djokovic could win a lot of big titles. He knows he needs to get back up the rankings, obviously. But I think it's certainly going to be a fun one. I think they're both obviously two very big characters. It could be interesting to see how it works.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the transition for Stepanek is going to be from player to coach. Like you said, he just retired very recently, I believe like a couple weeks ago or maybe like a month ago. And then now we see him stepping into the coaching box. I want to see, it's going to be intriguing to see because Djokovic is starting his season at a tour level event in, I believe it's Doha.
Yes, Doha, defending champion.
Yeah, so he's starting his season in Doha, so that will be the first real test of Stepanek to see how Djokovic does to help him back up the rankings, because if Djokovic can't defend that title, he's going to fall even further down with a lower seed heading into Australia.
Yeah, it's a really big opening tournament for him and for him. I know Andy Murray's the finest there last year. Do you know if he's going back there?
He's going to Brisbane.
Oh, okay. So yeah, see Murray.
So I believe he'll be the 4th seed there, along with Dimitra, and Nadal will be the top seed. Dimitra the 2, then Thiem the 3, then Murray. It drops off to Murray, who's at, I believe, like 16 to. He'll be the 4th seed.
That's a big gap in between the seeds. That's around the thing. So yeah, obviously they're both we're focusing on Stepanek and Djokovic, but in general, both Djokovic and Murray are going to need strong opening weeks to try and stay in a fairly good seeding position ahead of Melbourne. So I think, it's a big one. I think it's more crucial for Djokovic because obviously Murray is obviously down in 16th. He's likely to stay around in that area and obviously potentially face the likes of Nadal or Federer in the 4th round. Whilst Djokovic, if he's able to defend his points, could avoid that and may avoid potentially facing him to the last 8. So I think it's crucial for both, but more important for him. And Stepanek has definitely been thrown in the deep end, considering how Djokovic's situation in the past 18 months.
Yeah, so I think, Doha's going to be huge for Stepanek to see how his coaching will work out, because a huge week for Djokovic. And so it's going to be really fun to see how that plays out throughout the season, because, I mean, if you're the day-to-day coach of Djokovic, an elite player, it'll be definitely be fun to see how this plays out over the year. All right. So before we get on to our WTA Awards, I want to mention the Asia Pacific wildcard playoff for the Asia Pacific wildcard playoff for the Australian Open, and we have Jinyu Wang, who is 16 years old, born in 2001, who's currently the 6th best junior in the world. She wins the wild card to get into the Australian Open, becoming, I believe, only the 3rd player born in 2001 after Amanda Anisimova and Anastasia Potapova, also 2 juniors, to make their splash into the big stage. Do you have any thoughts on this?
It's just incredibly young. It's quite scary, especially considering I'm 19. obviously, I think last year as well with Destiny Iava played at the Australian Open. She was born in 2000. She was the first ever to be born in 21st century to play at Slam.
And now we have what, 3 more to add to that list within the last year.
Yes, they're slowly coming up. Obviously, it's going to be a while before they're major contenders, but it's exciting to see, like, especially obviously coming through a playoff, especially excited to see if they're able to take their opportunities, and it'll be interesting to see how all the younger players, like the 16 and 17-year-olds, get on in Melbourne.
Yeah, and she beat in the final a player from Papua New Guinea who don't really have a tennis background like the Chinese do, like Li Na, Peng Shui, Jing Shui, players like that. But that would have been fun to see a player from Papua New Guinea definitely get in. But congratulations to Jinyu Wang for punching her ticket in Zhuhai. And so we will wish her the best of luck in Melbourne. And now we move on to our WTA Awards. So first off, we will start with Player of the Year so they're obviously the WTA had their own, just like the ATP had their own little awards thing, but the WTA isn't as clear cut as the men were with Federer and Nadal, because there were so many women who won big titles, who were ranked number 1. But who are you leaning towards to give to your Player of the Year?
It's kind of like there was a lot of contenders. Obviously, a lot of people had a solid season. I think in terms of if you look at where certain players started the season and what they achieved and finished, this person maybe not in the top of that. But I think considering Garbine Muguruza won Wimbledon and then won a Premier title in Cincinnati, I'm leaning towards her. Only person to win a Slam and a Premier title this year. Obviously was number 1 at one point. Finished the year well number 2. So I'm going to say her.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it wasn't the best start to the year for Muguruza. I mean, she said it at the end of 2016 herself that from anything January to the French Open was one season, and then anything from after the French to the end of last year was another season. And I feel like that carried on to this year, where she just felt so much pressure of winning the Grand Slam. And you saw that with the likes of Kerber after she won, Sloane after she won. After they overcame that first hurdle of winning that Grand Slam title, it became hard on them. But after that controversial match with Mladenovic at the French, and then couldn't fully defend those 2,000 points, you just saw a new door open for Garbiñe as she started finding the game within herself, started becoming stronger mentally. And then I think what the real turning point for her is what we'll mention when we probably get to our top 5 matches, when we discussed this last week, is that match against Kerber at Wimbledon. I believe it was the round of 16, right?
Yeah, round of 16.
Yeah, I believe that is the huge turning point for her, not just the season, but maybe her career, because I feel like if she doesn't edge out in that match, she continues to be a little wavy. I mean, still a top 10 player, but still a little wavy. But now that match really fired her mentally to help her get that Wimbledon title, reach world number 1, and win more after that.
Yeah, it was a huge match. Obviously, we don't know what happened if Kerber had gone on to win that. It would have still been an interesting tournament for sure. But yeah, there's obviously that French Open match as well. Like I said, 4th round match against Kristina Mladenovic, that kind of changed the season for both women, because Muguruza struggled up till then, and Mladenovic had been playing very well. And then after that, Muguruza raised to level, and Mladenovic obviously struggled towards the end of the year. So I think there's been a couple of turning points. Also at Eastbourne as well, she lost, I believe, 6-1, 6-love to Barbara Strycova. Obviously a terrible loss to her, and then obviously went on to take the Wimbledon title. So I think that was a whole really big transition period for her. So I think obviously it wasn't a great start to the year, but I think she ended this second half of the season 2 big titles, probably slightly the better player.
Yeah, I mean, you said it earlier. Only player to win a Slam, a Premier, and then also reach world number one. So I think definitely winning a Slam gives you the edge, but also proving you could win at the tour level and then reaching career highs in rankings will definitely give you the slight edge over the likes of maybe Wozniacki, who won what was it 4 or 5 titles this year?
She won. Wozniacki only won the 2 titles.
Oh yeah, 2 titles, but she made what 7, 8 finals?
6. Yeah, she made 8 finals overall. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 finals. Then Svitolina had a couple huge titles in, I believe it was Rome and Toronto.
Yeah, Rome, Toronto, and also Dubai as well.
Yeah, so a few big titles for Svitolina, and then obviously Halep, year-end world number one, but only believe it was the one title in Madrid.
Yeah, in Madrid she lost French Open final. Obviously lost Cincinnati final. Muguruza won that, won and love.
Also lost the, I believe, the Rome final. Yeah, China Open. Did she also lose? Yeah. So yeah, a wide open field for the WTA Player of the Year. Heck, if you really wanted to, we could have thrown Serena into the mix because she was world number one and has a Grand Slam title and won the Grand Slam while she was pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, if she wasn't pregnant, she continued playing, she probably would end up a year player.
Yeah.
The season. But we'll never know. But we have to see what happens in 2018.
Oh, man. That's what gonna love 2018. And all right. And now we move on to our next award, the most improved player. So just like the Player of the Year, this is so wide open. You have Ostapenko up there. You have obviously Sloane Stephens, who just fired up the rankings, definitely improved her game. You have let's see, Ashley Barty and her return. You had Kasatkina. You had Arina Sabalenka. So many players in contention for this award. But who is your pick?
My pick in the end was Ashley Barty. It was just the fact that she's been away for a while and was to come back playing well again in doubles like she did in what I would refer to as maybe her first career. But obviously, really good year in the singles as well. Obviously, first WTA title in Kuala Lumpur. Obviously, final in Birmingham. She beat Muguruza in the semi-final there. Obviously, final in Wuhan as well. Match she nearly won. Served for it a couple of times. And obviously, reached Suhai and finished the year, I believe, just inside the top 20, maybe out of it. I'm just going to double check. But yeah, she has an incredible year. Plays much better tennis.
She's 17, so that's great. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And she started the year outside the top 300. So it was an incredible rise for her.
Yeah, so for me, go continue.
There was a lot of picks about, but she did come into my head quite early on, and it was a fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but confident pick. I would say I was quite like, yeah, she's an obvious candidate.
Yeah, she's definitely an obvious candidate. Right, I know she's only about like 21, but already we consider, I mean, having a second career because she did leave the game for a little. But I mean, astounding that she just came back. She just came back and she's doing amazingly well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she went off and played a whole different sport. She went off and played cricket. So to play tennis, then move to a different sport, and then come back and have your best ever season is pretty remarkable. So I think very exciting, especially since she's already made Grand Slam doubles finals. So yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, very much. So it looks like she's looking like the future of Australian tennis for the women, at least.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a look at potential slam winners, you've got to say I'd probably see her, if she wins a slam, winning a slam before anyone on the men's side. Probably just going to be the future of Australian tennis, full stop. At the moment, obviously things could change, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay. I think my pick, bit out there, but not really out there as well. But I'm gonna go with the 19-year-old Belarusian Arina Sabalenka. So she, her heroics really came through in the Fed Cup because obviously no Azarenka, and at 18, 19 years old, turned 19 this May. At 18, 19 years old, she had the pressure along with other Belarusian teammates without Azarenka to get Belarus in their first Fed Cup final, and then she did so with her victory in the semifinals over Victoria Golubic against Switzerland, and then now she's reached a career high ranking of where is let's take a look. So quickly,
73rd.
Yeah, 73rd. So easily into the main draw of Australia, and then she came into Tianjin as the 119th ranked player, and then defeated the likes of Sarah Irani, and then had chances to beat Maria Sharapova in that final, but fell in the end. But I think from just being a Fed Cup hero to now really challenging Sharapova in that final, I think she'll have a world of confidence heading into 2018, where she could definitely move into maybe the top 50 or even top 40 if things go her way.
Yeah, she's very talented. Obviously, she had that great week in Tianjin, great final against Sharapova, as you mentioned, and obviously has done well in the Fed Cup throughout the whole year. I mean, the whole Belarusian team has. I think many people would have had them making the final, especially considering Azarenka wasn't in action. So she's another one to look out for. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Sharapova perhaps was even impressed by how well she played against her in that final. Obviously, Sharapova did obviously come through in straight sets, but I believe it was like 4-1 down in the first set and 5-1 down in the second.
Yeah, so if she took her chances, that's easily her title.
So yeah, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of exciting talent on the WTA, but I think she is one to look out for, especially considering her career high is 73rd. There's obviously a lot what she can do next year to get even better.
Yeah, and then just recently, last week, she just won a WTA 125 challenger in Mumbai in straight sets over Dalila Jakupovic. So clearly improving on that ranking already by keeping up that confidence by winning some challengers.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's very exciting to see how she does next year, especially and also in the Fed Cup again. So would they be able to progress from reaching the final? So yeah, I think it's just going to be an exciting year in general.
Yeah, man. I mean, we say it every pod. 2018 is going to be so fun, but we will. 2018 will indeed be fun. And then at the end of the pod, we will mention a little game that Oliver and I will try to play in 2018 more consistently, but we'll get to that at the end. Okay, biggest disappointment. I feel like this is a lot easier than the other two. I'll say who mine is, and I think you'll 99.9% agree with me. It has to be Angelique Kerber. I mean, to go from 2 slams to what? Did she even win a title this year? I don't.
And she reached 1 final.
Yeah, 2 slams just to reaching 1 final, then splitting with her coach. I mean, and just like looking a shadow of what she was last year. Like, even though we know her as a counterpuncher, she was so aggressive last year. She was an aggressive counterpuncher, and now it looks like she's falling back into those old habits of being defensive, getting just like way too easily frustrated with herself. I mean, it's just so difficult to comprehend what has happened to Kerber within the last year.
Yeah, I have also picked Kerber as well. Yeah, she's just obviously 2016, she reached 8 finals, I believe. Was very confident on court, looked to attack as much as possible. And this year, like she said, very much a shadow of her former self. 1 final in Monterrey, where she lost to Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Obviously, made the second week in both Melbourne and Wimbledon, but obviously had title and finalist points to defend there. But not great results either. First round losses at the French Open, the US Open, won 4 games in both of those matches, so not an impressive showing really. It was just incredibly disappointing. I mean, she obviously had that. She was obviously a great player heading into 2016, but that was a standout season. And I think a lot of people, including myself, did expect a slight slump, but I thought she's very much stay maybe top 5, maybe win a couple of titles. So I didn't expect anything like this at all. It was very disappointing to watch.
Yeah, just astounding to see like what happened. Do you recall when she lost in Australia? Don't remember off the top of my head.
She lost the 4th round to your favourite person, Coco Van
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll
player.
mention Coco a little later as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's tough. I mean, losing in the 4th round, only about halfway to at least getting to the final and defending those points or getting close to defending those points. But it's just, man, it was tough to see Kerber play this year. She was so outstanding in 2016. I mean, we hope that she does even the slightest better, maybe win a title next year.
Yeah, I think she will bounce back a little bit. I don't think she's going to come back.
Yeah, I don't see world number 1. I do not see world number 1 again.
Like, considering how poor this year was by 2016 standards, I think if she was able to finish this year, in next year, even in the top 10, maybe make WTA finals, I think it'd be an encouraging season for her.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. All right. Now, this has been a tough call for me, but the biggest upset in the WTA this year, I'll let you lead it off.
Well, there's quite a few. As obviously there's ones like obviously Ostapenko beating Simon Halep in the French Open final, big upset. Obviously Ostapenko had already caused quite a few upsets in that tournament already. There's been a lot. So it's like another one that's kind of like Alison Risk beating Kiki Mladenovic in Wimbledon. A lot like there's so many to think of. But I actually plumped for in the end one way back at the beginning of the season, the Australian Open. That was Mirana Lucic Baroni beating Karolina Pliskova in the quarterfinal of the Australian Open. She'd obviously already beaten Radwanska in the second round, but obviously at this point we didn't know Radwanska was also going to have a bad season. But Baroni has the weapons out here. Radwanska, I think a lot of people fought against Pliskova, who after winning Brisbane was probably a slight favourite for the title, definitely up there with Serena anyway. Would have thought that she would have been able to handle it and she would have made the semis, but obviously Baroni prevailed. I think something like 6-4, 3-6, 6-4 in the end. A really big surprise, and that's what I planned for.
Okay, I'm going to pump for this one in the US Open, which involves a fellow Brit of yours. So sorry to do this to you, but this will be coming with this will involve Alexandra Krunich's upset of Johanna Konta in the first round of the US Open. Obviously, Konta reached heights that she had not reached before this year. Miami Open title at a Premier Mandatory, Wimbledon semifinal. First Brit. Do you remember she was the first British woman since forgot the name.
Virginia Wade.
Yeah, Virginia Wade to get that far, and she was in contention to reach world number 1, and was coming off these okay showings in Cincy and Toronto beforehand, but it was amazing to see how Krunic really took it to Konta after dropping that first set.
Yeah, I mean, obviously her showings in Cincy and Toronto weren't great. She had struggled, but a lot of people still had her for a good US Open. I know I had her making the final. I think she's undoubtedly a contender. She could have won it, especially considering how open it was in the end, obviously. Stevens Keys final. But yeah, Krunic obviously had an inspired US Open one a few years ago, beat Petra Kvitova, took the first set of Azarenka, I think back in 2014. And, she brought that fire back again. So yeah, that was a surprise result as well. Especially considering that Konta just in general did not play a great match and couldn't seem to handle it. And Krunic was just too strong in the end. So I think, yeah, that was a big one. I'd completely forgotten about that one, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah. Erase it. You erase it because that involves one of your country women. Erase that out of your mind. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that was stunning. I mean, I believe there were like 8 women who had the chance to end the U.S. Open world #1, and it ended up, I think it was Garby who took it, but
Yeah.
they all really faltered in the end.
Yeah.
Kanta especially.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously Muguruza. Muguruza lost in the 4th round to Kvitova, but it was obviously Pliskova had to reach the final to stay at world #1, depending on other results. And once that happened, I think she was the only contender for world #1 left at the last stage. Obviously, Venus was in contention early on, but other players had made it too fast, and she was now out of contention. So that's what left Muguruza as #1. But yeah, there was an opportunity. I think it would have been hard for Konta to end the tournament as well, #1, but there was an opportunity for the title. She played well. And I think that will run at Wimbledon, obviously, some tough matches, obviously, incredibly tough second round match against Donna Vekic. 4th round match against Caroline Garcia, 6-4 in the 3rd quarter-final match against Simona Halep as well for a set down. I think that run drained her energy a little bit because she wasn't the same after that, really.
Yeah. All right.
Continue. Here, sorry, that she has been nominated for a top British sporting award, the Sports Personality of the Year, one of 12 nominees, I believe. So yeah, that helps. So she still got that.
Quickly off topic. Where do you think she finishes in the standings for that? You said there's 12 nominees.
I believe it's 12. I'm not sure. I think she has got a high profile now. Obviously, we don't have many other high-profile sportswomen in individual sports, so I think that helps her. I don't think she'll win, mainly because she hasn't got a slam. If she'd won a Grand Slam title, she'd definitely be top 3. If she's won Wimbledon,
if she wins Wimbledon, she wins.
Yeah.
She wins it.
Yeah.
Like no matter if Lewis Hamilton wins the Formula One title again.
I mean, obviously, he won Wimbledon in 2013. He won that then. He won of Davis Cup in 2015. And he won it last year. He finished 3rd in 2012 where he won the Olympic title in US Open. That's because it was Olympic year. There was so much. If that was just a normal year and he won the US Open title, he probably would have won that again. I think she's potentially could get top in 3rd place. I think very much 1st and 2nd places between Anthony Joshua and Lewis Hamilton. That's how I see it anyway. I'll be surprised if it doesn't go that way. But I think 3rd's a possibility. She won't win last either because of her high profile. She's a lot more famous than some of the other nominees. So yeah, I think she'll definitely be the top half, like the top 6.
Okay, all right. So now we move on to the best moment of the year. I mean, wild and wacky 2017. There were so many moments. I mean, just in any tennis year, there's just so many moments to think of. But what is your best moment of the year?
I've gone for quite an obvious one, but it was an incredible moment. I've gone for just in general Petra Kvitova's return. Obviously, awful attack she suffered. Even after that, she came back a lot earlier than people expected. Obviously, won her 1st round match at the French Open. Obviously, won in Birmingham as well. Reached the Grand Slam quarter-final at the US Open. It had some not so great results aside from that, but it's still great to see her on court in general. Finished the year inside the top 30 despite not playing until May, which is incredible. So I think in general, just to see her back in court and obviously be able to win a title, reach a Grand Slam quarterfinal is incredible.
And just remember, guys, she can hold a tennis racket in her left hand, but she still can't clench.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think you practically summed it up for me as well. I think best moment would just be not just for Kvitova, but just in general, 2017 is like the comeback stories of the year. So we have the likes of Sloane, who started, believe at Wimbledon, right? I believe so. Yeah. At Wimbledon, then City Open, early exits there, but was ranked outside the top 900 or something like that, or pretty close to it.
Yeah, around that. I think like 957th or something.
Yeah.
Headed into the Rogers Cup, and obviously back-to-back semi-final show.
Yeah, back-to-back semifinals. Oliver just said at the Rogers Cup in Toronto, and then the Western and Southern Open in Cincinnati, and then then we're like, okay, U.S. Open, and then we see her draw. Pretty favorable draw for her considering the confidence she had, but no way in heck that we thought, oh, Sloane's gonna win the U.S. Open, and then, I mean, she did have good form. She was in good form, but yeah, there you go, U.S. Open champion, and then her fellow American compatriot and U.S. Open finalist Madison Keys coming off yet another wrist surgery, but to see her reach that first Grand Slam final after everything she's been through as well has just been amazing to see. So really, I think my best moment of the year, moments, kind of cheating, would be the three comeback stories of Kvitova, Sloane Stephens, and Madison Keys.
Actually, I mean, there's been a lot of comebacks. She obviously said them three. Obviously, we addressed Ashley Barty earlier as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, and obviously, different type of comeback. Sharapova as well attracted a lot of attention. Didn't necessarily start amazingly well, but obviously picked up towards the end of the year. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
All right, and now we move on to our top 5 matches, and with the WTA being as amazing as it is, there are just so many matches to absolutely throw in there. And I will start off with my number 5. It is at the Australian Open with Coco Vandeweghe defeating Eugenie Bouchard in the 3rd round. And I was rewatching this match actually the other day, and the quality of tennis in this match was just absolutely staggering. I mean, Bouchard led in every set. I mean, she did take the 2nd set, but she led in every set. But Coco would just not make it easy for her to break, to hold serve. It was just an amazing high level. I mean, you had power tennis of Coco with the tennis of Bouchard, who at its best is amazing to watch when she just is so aggressive and takes the ball early. You had those two contrasting-ish styles, and Vandeweghe prevailed in the end with a huge come on, and then obviously propelling herself later all the way to an Australian Open semifinal.
Yeah, that was. I've forgotten about a match, and obviously I know why you included that in there too.
Got jokes. Got jokes.
Yeah, but it was a good match. But yeah, my number 5 is a match we have already addressed during the poll. It was the Muguruza Kerber match at Wimbledon. Just probably at that point, it's probably the best match both of them have played this year. Obviously stuck out on court too, unfortunately, due to how crazy that day was. So many big matches on, obviously Manic Monday.
Oh, Manic Monday.
Yeah, just incredible. And obviously, like we said, another matches, Kerber had opportunities twice to break up in that decider. But Mugu was able to pull her way through. And like you said earlier, potentially turn her season and maybe even her career around. So yeah, I think it's just in terms of the implications, in terms of Kerber then still having a disappointed season afterwards, Muguruza not so. And in terms of the standard of tennis, I think it's had to be a top 5 one for me.
Yeah, that's actually my number 4. So I really don't have much to say about that because you just said as your number 5, but let's lead you into your number 4 match then.
Okay, so my number 4 match is the way back to the spring in the Indian Wells final, where Elena Vesnina defeated Svetlana Kuznetsova from a set down, 6-7, 7-5, 6-4. I believe she trailed in both the 2nd and 3rd sets, Vesnina. I believe she was 4-1 down, single break in one of them. I think in the second set. But it was a really dramatic match. It was over 3 hours. The standard of tennis did occasionally vary, but it was still enthralling to follow. Obviously, the biggest title of Vesnina's career. Obviously, Kuznetsova eventually unable to win a title this year. But yeah, it was just a fascinating match to watch. Obviously, not often we see two Russians, one of them not being Sharapova, face off for big titles in the past few years. So it was a wonderful match to watch.
All right, so now we are at our top three, and I'm really intrigued to see where our top three goes because there's so many great matches. So my number three is going to be the U.S. Open first round match between Maria Sharapova and Simona Halep. I mean, as soon as we saw that draw come out, we were all like, "Oh, freaking boy!" we're like, "Oh, Simona has a good chance," and then you just see wild card Maria Sharapova pop up in slot number 127. We're like, this is thrown on ash, prime time. This is about to be a sellout crowd, and it did not fail to deliver. I mean, that first set, Sharapova was just hitting everything, and I mean everything, finding every corner, every line. Literally, I mean, Halep did not play poorly in that first set, but Sharapova was just absolutely on fire. And then it cooled down a little in the second as Halep got that key break to take the second set. But that third set was like the highest of quality sets. This was a match that was worthy of a final, and it's a shame that we had to see it in the first round, but it was such an amazing match.
Well, again, let's skip for a little bit. That was my number 2 pick. It was incredible. I mean, obviously, the first set was great. It was incredible. And obviously, Sharapova took it. But then it was like she went 4-1 up in the second and obviously had a break point. You're thinking, oh, this is going to turn out into an easy win. And you have to give full credit for Simona Halep for adding to the drama once again on probably. I think there's something really special about night matches on Ash, especially when something like that happens and the atmosphere is just incredible. I stayed up to watch it. I was really hoping it didn't disappoint, and it didn't. And I've never been so happy to end up going to bed at 4:00 in the morning because it was an amazing match to watch.
Not many first rounders sell out at Ash. Ash is huge. Not many first rounders sell out like this one.
Yeah, I mean the atmosphere is incredible. That's why I kind of feel. I believe it was Sasha Zverev after that.
Yeah,
because that was the first that opened it. Because obviously they had like the opening ceremony.
Yeah,
and then the Halep Sharapova match. And then felt sorry for. I believe he faced Darian King in that match.
He did.
He came out, and the crowd obviously had an incredible match. Obviously, nearly 3 hours long, I think. And obviously they would have. There's no way they were going to be able to match that. And I think the atmosphere was a little bit dead for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still. Yeah, it's a wonderful match to watch.
All right, your number 3.
My number 3 was back at the China Open, so not too long ago, really. It was Caroline Garcia beat Elina Svitolina 6-7, 7-5, 7-6, saving a match point.
That's my number 2, actually. So ironically,
this is convenient.
Yeah, so convenient. So I'm really interested to see what our number 1 is, though.
I think we had the same for the ATP. I have a feeling we're probably going for the same here as well. But it's a Garcia Svitolina match. They played a good match, another great match, even at the WTA finals a couple of weeks ago. But I think this match, in terms of its significance,
absolutely.
Obviously, Garcia was on a bit of a run by that point. Obviously, taking Wuhan there, and it was such a high quality encounter. Way more winners and unforced errors for both women. Obviously, both women had Svitolina obviously had an impressive year. Garcia had a solid year by that point, and it was becoming very impressive. And
yeah, she had to win to keep her Singapore hopes alive, right?
Yeah, she had to win to leapfrog Konta, and then she was able to win that match. Obviously, win the title in the end, beat Simona Halep, who obviously in the semi-finals clinched world number 1. So yeah, in terms of the implications, it was a huge match, but also just the quality was incredibly high. And it was the same once again in terms of the WTA finals. So it could be an interesting matchup next season. It's kind of matchup you'd like to see in a Grand Slam final, especially if it's going to be as competitive as that.
All right, so both our number twos have been mentioned already. So number one, for the drama of this, like the lead up drama of this match, from going to my childhood idol to I think you should be suspended forever. Or it was something like that, right?
Yeah, it's just banned for life.
You're banned for life. And then you meet in a premier event in the Spanish capital in, I believe it was, what round is the round of 32. So I think it's like, I believe that's like the first round or the second round
in Madrid.
Yeah,
I think it was this. I think it was the second round.
yeah. So in the second round, has to be because of the whole saga drama, all because the WTA loves this kind of stuff. Bouchard, Sharapova in Madrid, where Bouchard's probably one of her only notable wins of the season took place in this match on court Manolo Santana. I mean, we discussed this last week after the pod. We're like, oh, this has to be up there. I mean, the quality of tennis was already high because Sharapova is especially good on clay. We've seen Bouchard probably get her best results, most likely. Her only title is on clay, and we've seen her make a French Open semifinal. But like, obviously, the drama behind this, the whole, oh, she was my childhood idol growing up, and now I think you should be banned for life because of the whole Meldonium saga. I mean, this was amazing.
I mean, I actually went for something different.
So. Oh, what? Oh, what the heck? Oh my god!
I mean, that's definitely up there. It's definitely.
You thought we'd have the same one? Oh,
I thought I have the French Open final.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
you're so disappointed, aren't you? You're like building that whole up to.
I know.
Yeah. I agree. I'm just like.
I mean, if I had to throw in a 1B. The Bouchard Sharapova would be 1B, obviously. Ostapenko Halep would be 1A. I mean, but but like, I love drama. I live for the drama, and this delivered that. Like, from pre-match to actual match to post-match. Like, that's why I have it as number one. I mean, it is controversial. Yes, at me on Twitter, I live for the drama, but yes, continue though.
Yeah, but I just went because obviously it was just a huge shock, and it was just an incredible matchup. You know, neither woman played badly; both played very well. Obviously, Ostapenko been a real breakthrough that season, and even though she made the final, I think everyone was still very much Simona's time. She's going to get number one. She's going to get that title. You know, a lot of people had her in straight sets, and obviously it looked that way. Obviously, she had a point for a double break. The second set, 3-1 up. In the first set, but Ostapenko pulled through, and it was just, I was enthralled watching it. I'd never been so engaged in a match in my life, really. There's been a few other times, such as the Sharapova Halep match, the Federer-Nadal final early this year, the Dimitrov-Nadal semi-final. A lot of matches this year, actually high quality. Some other matches, and like the Australian Open final last year between Kerber and Serena. But it was just incredible to watch. I was watching it. Did she just do that? Like, Ostapenko, like, I'm not sure. Obviously, a lot of people debating how consistent Ostapenko can be and whether she'll actually take another slam. But I think whether she takes another slam or not, I think this is something people are always going to remember. Just the fact that she went out there, almost had no respect for Halep that day. And it was just incredible to watch.
I mean, I remember watching that at my actual home because it's obviously the women's final is always on a Saturday, but like just seeing Halep's up, I'm like, okay, let's flip the channel to something else, and then Ostapenko's there, and then just seeing Ostapenko find every corner down the line or every corner of the service box when she's hitting cross court. I'm like, this is absolutely freaking amazing. Like, talk about going for broke and literally just finding everything and I mean everything. And that final was just absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously, Halep has rebounded, obviously reaching world number one. Was it in Beijing?
Yeah, Beijing, yeah.
Yeah, in Beijing. But man, what a time to be alive to see someone as young as Ostapenko win a French Open title. Just play that kind of tennis. Just, I mean, people hate the word ball bashing, but that's exactly what she did.
Absolutely. I mean, I think her numbers were like 54 unforced errors, but 54 winners as well. So it's just, she really went for it. And obviously she had her own chances to win that first set, to break up twice. Obviously Halep eventually came through. But yeah, it was just an incredible one. She obviously had a very good semi-final match against Timea Pisinski as well. It was fun to watch. I believe she won that something like 7-6, 3-6, 6-3. Obviously beaten Wozniacki. I believe beat Wozniacki 3 times over the clay in Charleston, and then 2 very tight matches in Prague, and then at the French Open. Obviously come through against Stosur, a former finalist. So just a wonderful run. And obviously that final really capped it off. It was incredible to watch.
All right, man. I can't believe you could do this to me. We were so excited talking about this post-pod last week. Oh, the drama. But I guess, you have to go with that one. Oh, God. But anyways, what are some of your – I'm sure this has to be on your honorable mentions, please.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously it's an honorable mention. It was a great match. Also, 2 matches at Wimbledon. Both Joe Conta matches, a second round match against Vekic, 10-8 in the third. A quarterfinal match against Simona Halep.
Yep.
I believe it was 6-7, 7-6, 6-4.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great match. I'm still so like annoyed at how that match ended, though. That final match point. But still a great match. It's probably
I don't even remember how it ended because I believe the day that match was happening, I was headed to the airport. So, can you refresh my memory on how that match ended?
It was the match point. Conta serving out 40-15. And then because Halep hit a shot and the crowd, someone in the crowd thought it was going out, so they yelled. And as Conta hit the ball back because Halep thought the point was over, she just like kind of half-heartedly hit it and it went into the net. And the umpire probably should have called a let, but unfortunately it didn't happen, which is such a shame because I think Halep deserved a better ending to that match.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. I think also another Conta match, Krunic-Conta, like you mentioned, the biggest upset was a good match. Pliskova Wozniacki played some good matches this year as well. I think Indian Wells quarter-final match, I think that was another one. They played a tight match in Toronto as well. They're both ones that Wozniacki won. And obviously she won their semi-final match at the WTA finals as well. The ones Pliskova won of those against Wozniacki were generally a bit more one-sided. So yeah, there was a lot of good matches, but I think, just leave it as that. We could be here a while.
Yeah, I mean, some of my honorable mentions, I mean, the Madrid final, Mladenovic, Halep. I mean, Mladenovic, she was, I believe, hindered. I think she got it. She was injured at some point in the second set, rebounded to win that second set, and then put on a good show in the third. So I believe that was a good one. I mean, let's see. Muguruza Kuznetsova in Cincinnati. I mean, oh, God. I remember just sitting in the little media room and just watching that match on TV. It was also playing on center court because media room over there overlooks center court. I'm just like, oh my God. Oh, deuce, break point, deuce, game point. Like literally back and forth. Like you could not, it was so tight. Margins were so close in that match. And yeah, you said it, Pliskova Wozniacki up there as well, Conta Halep. So yeah, we don't want to mention the WTA because like we'll be here all day. So yes, that is the end of our pod. So next week we will get going on some season reviews for maybe like top 5, top 10 players on each side. We'll keep it nice and short, but I'm sure you guys are intrigued to hear what our grades are for some of these players with notable high points and low points and whatnot. But yes, Oliver, where can we find you on the social media?
You can find me on Twitter at OliverDJ1998.
All right. And you can find me, Noel Alberto, at Not First Noel. You can find the Twitter pod or the pod Twitter at On the Line Pod. And then you could find both of us writing for Bevel USA as we continue to pump out some season reviews and other news as well. And hopefully we will have a good start to 2018. But we'd like to say thank you for listening to us at the On the Line Pod. And we hope you come back and listen to us next week.